role in space exploration, we are privileged to have Boeing's corporate historian, Michael Lombardi, and 2 lunar rover alumni. Maine Tonkin, a retired design engineer for the lunar rover's navigation system, and Dennis McKillop is still going strong as an assurance and contamination control engineer with us here today. I also want to stop for just a second and recognize the Boeing company. They made a significant donation to this project. We would not be starting where we're starting if it weren't for the Boeing company and their commitment to this project and to the city of Kent. So I know you're excited to hear from our special guest this morning. If you could please join me in thanking Boeing and Michael, Dennis, and Maine, and I'd have you guys come on up.
Mayor, you did a great job. I have taught you well. Thank you. Good job. All right. Well, here, I'm going to start with a quick question, a quiz. How long has Boeing been in Kent? That's what it says right there, huh? No, actually, it's a trick question. 100 years. So the first time that Boeing was here, back actually 1920, Bill Boeing's pilot, Herb Munter, first pilot in the Northwest, built an airfield just south of downtown, Munter Field, and from there he flew his Boeing biplane. It was a Boeing Model 8. Carried 2 passengers. He had a sightseeing company, and he took people for rides out over Mount Rainier. First airplane to fly over Mount Rainier, right out of here in Kent. And that was before Boeing Field. So we have a great aerospace heritage here. You think about this year is an incredible year. We have 2 great anniversaries we're celebrating with our community and then with our Boeing family, and actually with the world. We just celebrated the birthday of the Queen of the Skies, the 747, the biggest commercial jet in the world. This was something that people said would be impossible, but Boeing employees did it. And that's what we do. We do things that other people think are impossible. So when President Kennedy challenged America to go to the moon, the Boeing company stepped up. And this year we celebrate that other great anniversary of going to the moon. 20,000 Boeing employees worked on that. And when I was a kid, this was so inspiring for me, growing up with this. I was in grade school. And like a million other kids, I wanted to be an astronaut. Fortunately for NASA, that didn't happen. But I was inspired to get into this business, this incredible business. And that's what I hope will happen for all of the other kids today and in the future, that Apollo still has that power to inspire, to go into this business and go and look towards the future. Now, what made it even better, even more inspiring for me as a kid, is that NASA and Apollo wasn't this faraway thing in Florida. It was right here. My neighbors, people I knew, went to work at Boeing every day here in Kent and worked on the space program. And that was so cool, so inspiring. When we opened the Space Center in 1965, this was a huge deal. The vice president, Hubert Humphrey, came to Kent to celebrate the opening of that. And right away, that Space Center, which was our headquarters for all of our work, for all of Boeing's work on Apollo and Saturn, right away it went to work on the space program. We tested the lunar orbiter. This was our first Boeing vehicle that participated in the space program. It was built in Seattle, but tested here in Kent in that we had a giant vacuum chamber where it would simulate flying in space. So you could say that the lunar orbiter flew in space here in Kent before it actually went to the moon. This is our future, folks. This is the foundation for it. This is where we're going, and I am so excited that this community is recognizing its legacy.
Good evening and welcome to the Kent City Council meeting for Tuesday, January 21st. If you'll all rise and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kim, will you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Troutner.
Here.
Councilmember Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud. Here. Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving down the agenda, the next item is agenda approval. Are there any changes to the agenda from council or staff? All right, seeing none, their motion would be in order.
So moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Agenda stands as published. All right, we are going to move into public communications, which is the reason why I'm guessing the majority of the folks are in the room tonight. So I just want to say, for our audience at home that cannot necessarily see you, this room is packed, and that makes us all very, very happy. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. So we will start with public recognition. Council members, does anyone have public recognition? Councilmember Fincher.
I just wanted to say thank you to the YMCA and Kent Black Action Commission, who last night, which was the evening of the Martin Luther King Jr. Recognition Day, they showed a movie that was open to the public called 13th. If you have not seen it, I recommend it highly, so take a look at that. 13th, and it's on Netflix now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaur.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to recognize Youth Policy Board for Living Well Kent. They held a night of healing yesterday here at City Hall, and it was amazing to see the young people step up, organize an event, speak up about MLK, and have a presentation ready on bullying. That was pretty impressive. So I'd encourage more youth to be involved, and we're here to support you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda, and that is the recognition of our AdoptAStreet and AdoptASpot groups. So Tony Donati will be joining us for a presentation. And hopefully everybody got some cake out there for that celebration.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Tony Donati. I'm the Conservation Coordinator here in the Public Works Department. And tonight we're here to honor some true hometown heroes, our AdoptAStreet and our AdoptASpot partners. Many of them who are here tonight. These dedicated people have so much pride in where they live and where they work that they actually donate their time cleaning up other people's garbage and litter throughout the city as a hobby. So for that, we cannot thank them enough. It's just really incredible. These civic-minded adopters range from individuals, businesses, families, couples, neighborhood groups, organizations, and week in and week out, they continue to make a difference in our community. The AdoptAStreet program started in 2012, and we currently have 27 active groups. The AdoptASpot program started in June of 2018, and we currently have 21 active groups. In 2017, we had 19 total groups. And in 2018, we jumped that to 32, and as of last year, we have 48. So our numbers continue to increase, and these programs continue to grow, which is great. So in 2019, adopters combined to collect 750 bags of trash off our streets, parks, trails, and neighborhoods. And that totaled 1,249 volunteer hours. And not only are these adopters reducing litter in our community, but they're protecting our wildlife, our water quality, and just being exceptional role models to our children, our families, and other community members, and how to take pride in where they live and work. So all these volunteers are true hometown heroes, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, not all of them could make it here tonight, but I would like to introduce the ones that are here. And so when I call your name, will you please come up and just kind of come up around here and we'll get everyone in. So. Okay, thank you. Chris, in loving memory of Maureen Corsmo Lecomte. Friends of Sioux Creek Park. Kent United Methodist Church. KLM Industrial. Neighbors of West Hill. Republic Services of Kent. Sikhs of Washington. And that group has adopted 2 areas. Twisted Riders Motorcycle Club. Girl Scouts of Western Washington, Service Unit 020. LeBlanc Gardens. Reroute St. Vincent de Paul. Rotary Club of Kent. Snyder family, Paula Storm, Amici of Kent, the Larson family, the Bertino family, the Iraqi Community Group, Wildberry HOA, Tony Gregg Realtor, the Kent Meridian High School Environmental Club, and Intech Consulting. Did I miss anyone that's here that I missed? And also I'd like to note that Mayor Ralph and council members Fincher, Core, Thomas, and Larimer have all participated in the past or are currently participating now in a group. And if there's any others, please stand up and be recognized as well. So these folks all deserve a huge round of applause. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in joining this elite group to please contact me. Also visit our website, and you can email me as well. But yes, these people are amazing. They pick up trash as a hobby, like I said, and they're making Kent clean. And together, we can continue to clean Kent one bag at a time. So thank you all very much for coming.
So before you all leave, I have a little bit of a challenge I want to issue. So really quick, we are at 48 groups, if I heard Tony correct. By the end of next year, I would love to see us hit the 100 mark. And so my ask for all of you is get a friend, tell them how much fun you have, and get them to sign up. And let's see if when we do this next year, we can be at 100.
Sounds good. Yep, tell a friend.
Yeah, I'm talk to my owner.
And you don't have to hit that mile stretch. You can do the AdoptAStreet program that's like clean up the little blockers from the shop.
Yeah.
Good turnout.
Yes.
For you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
That's okay.
So there's also a little bit of rivalry that goes along with this. I will tell you, 2 weeks ago, I was leaving my house, headed down the hill, and I saw the Wildberry neighborhood out picking up trash. And then I felt like maybe I need to go do my section. My husband and I have adopted the area around our house, and watching them out there motivated me to go back and get all of our stuff and go out and pick up trash. So hopefully that's how all the rest of our residents respond when they see folks out there, and that it gets you to think about this is a really good way to help out our community. Kent's a huge city, 34 square miles, and there is no way that as city employees we can keep up with all this. And I am so, so grateful to our AdoptASpot and AdoptAStreet volunteers, because it makes a huge difference in our community. We have our next recognition is another way to make a difference in our community and become connected and be a part of the city, and it's our neighborhood council program. So our neighborhood councils were formed to establish a communication and relationship building within the city. It enhances that sense of community. So not only does it encourage you through this program to get to know your neighbors, but it also provides opportunities to get to know other neighborhoods. We have a variety of grant programs. We started last year our Kent Walks program, so our recognized neighborhood councils have the opportunity to get city staff, myself, come out and walk through the neighborhood and address issues with you in real time right there on your streets. It's just really a good way to provide two-way communication, so for you to share your concerns and triumphs and victories with us, and then for us to provide you with information. So I'm looking at our former Mayor Cook down here, and she's the one that helped start this program, so we're very, very grateful. And she is here because tonight we are recognizing our 50th Neighborhood Council. That is pretty significant. We're very, very excited to introduce Kara on the Bluff neighborhood to our Neighborhood Council program. Kara on the Bluff is the section on the East Hill, just east of Southeast 98th Place, west of 100th, north of South 222nd, and south of 220th. It's 37 households, and tonight we are going to formally recognize them as our 50th Neighborhood Council. So if our representatives from Kara on the Bluff would like to join me up front, I will present you with a certificate and we'll make it official. So we have the certificate signed by myself and our council president, and it's in recognition of Kara on the Bluff becoming our 50th Neighborhood Council. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our Neighborhood Council program really does provide a way to connect, and it also, I talked a little bit about there's some grant funding available. If you look around the city, up on the West Hill, our West Hill neighbors got together and used that grant money to paint a mural on a wall that is up there. We've got neighborhoods that are taking care of parks or putting in locking mailboxes as a way to deter mail theft. So there's a variety of projects that are available to those neighborhood councils, and if you are not already part of a neighborhood council, you don't have to be a formal neighborhood. You can be an area, people that live close together, your neighbors. Please reach out to the mayor's office, and we would love to get you additional information on that neighborhood program. And I suppose we should recognize, so all last year, every time we were adding neighborhoods, then Council President Boyce would say, are we going to get to 50? Are we going to get to 50? And we made it. So challenge received, challenge accepted, and made. So thank you for that. All right, on to a more serious but equally important topic, and that is the topic of human trafficking. I have a proclamation here for Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and I see Mike Heinisch in the audience. If you would like to come up and join us for the acceptance of the proclamation.
I'll bring the rest of my group.
Perfect. I'm going to read the proclamation and then we'll give you a chance to speak to it. Whereas human trafficking is a modern-day slavery and involves the use of force, fraud, and coercion to exploit a person for involuntary servitude, labor, and commercial sex acts. And whereas trafficking victims can be men or women, boys or girls, U.S. citizens or foreign nationals. And whereas the average age of a girl entering into the commercial trafficking trade is 12 to 14 years old, and boys 11 to 13. And whereas each year as many as 100 to 300,000 American children are at risk of being trafficked in the United States, and whereas traffickers may target young victims through social media websites, telephone chat lines, shopping malls, or after-school programs, and whereas after drug dealing, human trafficking is tied with the illegal arms industry as the second largest criminal industry in the world today and the fastest growing. Whereas assisting victims of human trafficking requires a coordinated community response among community groups, social services, schools, and law enforcement. Now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of the City of Kent, do hereby proclaim January 23rd, 2020 as Human Trafficking Awareness Day in the City of Kent and call upon the people of the city to support this observance by helping to educate residents about human trafficking in our city as well as across America and around the world.
Thank you, Mayor Ralph, City Council, and our partners, the Kent Police Department. I'm Mike Heinisch, the Executive Director of Kent Youth and Family Services. This is the third year we've worked this project in a partnership with the Police Department. It's very unique still, and I'm going to let Allison Forsythe, who joined us in the last few months, to take over this project when we had an opening, and we're delighted to have her say a little bit about her work already and the relationship with the Police Department. We were having dinner over at Mexico Lindo, and she got a text and a call from one of the detectives saying that they were in contact with one of her clients and her pimp just tonight, making an arrest. So, Allison.
I just want to start off and say thank you so much for the support for the City of Kent and for supporting our program, for supporting this partnership. It's truly unique. It is really incredible what Kent Youth and Family Services has been able to do so far with the relationship with the police department and with the support of the entire City of Kent. Since accepting referrals on December 1st, 2019, in 45 days, I was getting a new client referred to my program every day and a half. So I had 30 new client referrals in 45 days. And just in the first 15 days of 2020, I had 12. The majority of those are under 18. The average age of entry the very first time somebody here in Kent, at least so far since early December, has been about 13 to 14 years old is the age that they're getting exploited for the first time. So there's definitely the need for this program. I'm excited to see it grow and to continue to offer support and services for those that want it, and to kind of see where we can go with this partnership and with the support for the City of Kent as well. If you have any interest in learning more about what we're doing, you're welcome to check out the Kent Youth and Family Services Facebook page. You're welcome to check out our website. I'll still be here serving the community, hopefully for many years to come.
Thank you so much. It's so important for us to highlight things like this that are happening in our communities so that people are aware, that you're aware to watch for your children, for your neighbors' children, and kids all across our community. And the thing that I have learned, especially since this partnership between our police department and Kent Youth and Family Services, there's no boundaries. It's not children that come from low-income families, or any particular ethnic group. It is all of our kids are vulnerable to this. And so being aware and knowing that this work is being done and talking to our kids is extremely important. And there's a lot of really good resources out there, but it starts with being willing to have that really difficult conversation. So I just want to say thank you so much to KYFS and to our police department for recognizing that there are victims out there that need our help and support as a community, and for the work that's being done. Those numbers they should be enough to scare us all. Right, those numbers, when you hear how many kids are being brought into trafficking, it should be enough for all of us to make this a priority. So thank you for the work. Okay, so hard to segue from that into community events, but maybe building a stronger community is a way that we can all help prevent things like trafficking. So we'll use that as our segue into this. It's a little bit complicated. I am going to turn it over to Council President Troutner to start out with our shower events.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have a few events coming up in the next few weeks. 17, which is a K-pop group, will perform this Thursday. The Tacoma Stars will play Monterey Flash on Friday, January 24th. The Thunderbirds will play Portland, which is always an exciting game, on January 25th. They will also play Tri-Cities, January 28th. Seattle U men's basketball will play February 1st and March 7th. And then Super M, which is a K-pop supergroup, will perform March 4th, and tickets are still available. Thank you.
Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our Kent Spotlight series is going quite well. This past weekend, they had sold-out concert for A.J. Croce. If any of you remember Jim Croce, he is the son and played his music. The mayor was there, I was there. Wonderful concert. It was sold out. But coming up on February 8th, we have the Seattle Rock Orchestra. They are doing the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. We also, on the 28th, have Carlene Carter, daughter of Johnny Cash. We also have, coming in March, We Shall Overcome, a celebration of Martin Luther King. It's a gospel concert. And Catapult, Dancing Shadows, which is a dance group. So there's plenty of variety there. Check out the Spotlight website and hope to see you there.
Thank you, Councilmember Fincher. All right, we will move on in the agenda next to our public safety report, and joining us is Chief Padilla.
All right, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Members of the City Council, it's my honor to bring you this month's report. It's been a couple months, so I'm going to beg your indulgence. We're going to cram a lot of recognition right out of the gate into one meeting, but it's all good stuff, so I'll go ahead and get started right away. First up, I'd like to call up Mr. Benjamin Izazaga. Please come up, sir. We have the honor of recognizing Benjamin this night for some outstanding life-saving effort that he did this past August. So I'll read what he did, and then we'll present him his award. So on August 29, 2019, officers responded to a CPR in progress on a baby at the Jack in the Box on on Central Avenue. A very young baby had gone unconscious and stopped breathing while in a car seat of his mother's vehicle in the drive-thru. The mother got out with the baby, was screaming for help. Passerbys attempted to do CPR when Benjamin came by, who is a former firefighter in Mexico. He came by, realized that they were not doing it successfully. He got in there like a professional, administered CPR, and did a phenomenal job in reviving the infant, and the infant was well, breathing and alert before medical services could arrive. So he took action directly impacting and saving this baby's life, and we think that is outstanding. We think it is very much in line with the values of our city and our mission, and we just want to recognize him. And he is receiving the Chief's Award for Citizens Combination on behalf of the department and the city.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Our next topic is every year the rank and file in the department gets together, and facilitated by the Kent Police Officers Association, they choose their of the year employees. And we have three categories: civilian staff member, what I call support service person of the year, our corrections officer of the year, and our police officer of the year. And so I'd like to call up front Christy Warren and corrections officer Sheena Chupra, please. So as you can see on the board, these are two of our officer years. Detective Daniel Yagi was also a recipient. He won the Officer of the Year award, but due to the sensitive nature of the work he does, we're not going to showcase his picture for everybody to see. You guys can figure that part out. But I'll go through. I want to talk about what their peers said about them, and I'll start with Corrections Officer Chupra on the left there. Finding my notes here. It says, since starting at the city and Kent Correctional Facility in 2008, Sheena has established a reputation for having a professional and hardworking demeanor. Her coworkers regularly recognize and appreciate the fun and relaxed work atmosphere she fosters, even during stressful times. She is caring, calming, and compassionate, embodying the department's mission, even when working with the most challenging people. Sheena is known as a workhorse and makes the CKCF, City of Kent Corrections Facility, a great place to work. We are fortunate to have her as part of the team. Ladies and gentlemen, Corrections Officer of the Year, Sheena Chupa. Next to her, we have Support Services Manager, Christy Warren. Christy was promoted July of last year. Didn't take her long to win the Of the Year award for support services. She's been in transition from the get-go, but is doing a phenomenal job picking up a lot of responsibilities. She covers our evidence, our records unit, our finance people, our support admin staff, and any other really hard technical thing that I don't figure out, I hand to Christy right away and she gets it done. Here's what her peers and her subordinates said about her. Transitioning to a new post can be challenging even under the best of circumstances. Christy is regularly relied upon by supervisors, peers, and subordinates alike to gain a firm grasp of new tasks and concepts as she has grown into her role of support services manager. She has done so seamlessly. Christy's patience, tenacity, and willingness to listen make her a recognized leader in the department. She is always eager to learn what each member of her team does, how they interact with the department, and works tirelessly to remove obstacles. She is cheerful, trusting, intelligent, and a great representation of a team player. And so she won the nomination for Support Services of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, Christy Warren. You guys are done working. Thank you. And I'll read real quick what was written up for Detective Yagi. Detective Yagi was a lateral officer that came from Linwood. If you remember, we were able to steal him away a few years ago. Quickly moved into specialty positions and is one of our highest performing specialized detectives in the department. You heard there was some of the efforts in regards to human trafficking. He is involved in that amongst many other complicated investigations. His peers wrote about him, Dan goes out of his way to assist his fellow officers daily. He willingly adds to his already full plate to do whatever is needed. Dan has become one of the department's leading experts in electronic surveillance and has managed to track down and arrest many violent offenders, playing a pivotal role in countless major violent crime cases. Dan works at a feverish pace, yet is very conscientious to make sure that the job is done right the first time. He is exceptionally bright and knowledgeable, and combined with his work ethic and attitude, passion for the job, and willingness to help everyone, he positions himself solidly among the best in Kent PD. Dan is not one to toot his own horn. He is a silent crime-fighting machine, and he does this job for the right reasons to make a difference to the community you serve. So he's not here, but I also want to recognize Detective Dan Yagi. All right. Mayor, we also have the honor of doing some swearing in this evening. I'd like to call up Corrections Officers Ryan Armstrong and Corrections Officer Natalie Zeber, sorry, said that wrong, and Officer Jay Sloan. So. You got it. Mayor, I'm going to introduce them briefly, and then you can do the honors. That'd be excellent. So to our far left is our new Corrections Officer, Ryan Armstrong. Ryan was born in North Carolina, lived in Mississippi for a year, and then has been in Washington for the last 28. Recently graduated, 2-3 weeks ago now, not too long ago. His education includes a high school diploma, and he went to Emergency Medical Responder School in Mississippi. He received his certification in an EMR, is that Emergency Medical Responder? And before Kent PD, he worked as a marine construction in Tacoma for 2.5 years, and as a store manager for Jiffy Lube. When asked about Kent, he says Kent has a great atmosphere to work in, a lot of teamwork, creativity, integrity, and you feel like family. Wherever you go, you're treated with respect at all times. Something interesting about Ryan is that he's 29 years old and used to be a volunteer firefighter. So we stole one over for the good guys. That's good. He loves spending time with his family and friends, enjoys duck hunting, and he just bought his first house with his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Armstrong. You might recognize the name Armstrong. We're thinking about renaming our jail because he is now the third member of the Armstrong family who works at our jail. His two sergeants, his uncle, and his dad also work at the jail. So strong Armstrong tradition going on there. Next up in the middle, I'd like to introduce Corrections Officer Natalie Zieber. Natalie has lived in Washington the majority of her life, but also lived in Oregon, California, and Montana. She's a high school diploma and went to cosmetology school. Before Kent PD, she was a corrections officer at the Aberdeen Police Department. When asked about why she chose Kent, she was looking for a bigger agency with more opportunity and bigger challenge. She met Officer Davis, who was an instructor at the academy, and through that learned more about the Kent Police Department and what we had going on here. And fortunately for us, she applied and is standing before you today. Something interesting about her is that she barrel raced throughout her childhood. That's like on the horses and things, right? Okay. And she is one of 4 daughters. Ladies and gentlemen, Corrections Officer Natalie Zieber. And closest to me, we have Officer Jace Sloan. Jace is from Puyallup, Washington. His education, he has a BA in Liberal Studies from Seattle University. Before Kent, Jace was in the military, and he was in the Special Forces Communications as a communications sergeant for just under 6 years. Reason for choosing Kent, he said he was from the Valley and has always wanted to remain in the Valley. Jace chose Kent specifically for the wealth of experience he will attain. Something interesting about him is that he and his wife have 3 kids who run their lives. And there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Officer Jay Sloan. Mayor?
Thank you. All right, we're going to make it officially official. If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the United States of America, the state of Washington, and the city of Kent, and that I will uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States and the state of Washington, and that I will obey the rules and regulations of the Kent Police Department. All right, congratulations and welcome to the family. Thank you. We'll do photos here.
Do it right now?
Can you actually do it right now?
Yeah, you want to sneak in there? Okay, I think this wraps up our recognition, but I do have one more award to bestow. I'd like to call up Officer Andrew Reed, please come forward. Andrew is receiving his second, I belife, life-saving award. I know it's not his first. So we want to honor him tonight as well. If you remember, Officer Reed is a lateral officer, has been with Kent for 5 years and was with Linwood prior and was with our Kent Corrections Facility prior to that. So he's been serving the community for several years. He's currently assigned to our patrol division and is definitely one of our more proactive, aggressive officers out there. And you, like I said, you may recognize him. He's received an award before. So let me read what happened. On October 4th, 2019, Officer Andrew Reed responded with others to a CPR in progress at a residence on the East Hill of Kent. A male in his 60s had stopped breathing. Officer Reed responded, did the typical checks, brought his automatic electronic defibrillator with him, which we have issued in every car, and applied it and delivered a shock, reviving the male and saving his life. Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority arrived shortly thereafter and continued life-stabilizing efforts when the male recovered and was transported to Valley Medical Center. So Officer Reed's efforts exemplify Kent PD's core values of service, professionalism, and integrity in recognition of his ability to execute technical life-saving skills that lead to saving this gentleman. We are awarding him the Kent Police Department's Life-Saving Medal.
It's hard. It's hard.
Okay. I get in trouble every time when I forget to click the slides with Jaylee. All right, so transitioning a little bit of business. So last council meeting, we had some public comment regarding one of our problem neighborhoods, not problem neighborhoods, problem areas up on our West Hill and 259 Court. And so I wanted to come and provide some update and some context to what's going on and what we're doing about the issues that are going in that area. So we've been dealing with this neighborhood pretty solidly since 2016. There were issues there, as some of the issues were described during the last meeting are pretty significant, but currently, and I've read every report and pulled all the data and 911 calls for the last year, currently there is not significant activity going on. This past year, we had 9 incidents that occurred up in this area. 6 of them were generated by our officers proactively conducting stops and investigating things in the area. 3 were 911 calls. 2 of them resulted in case reports. 1 was an abandoned vehicle, and the other was a code enforcement call in which we issued a warning and infraction and was addressed. So I say all of that to say that that doesn't mean there aren't crimes going on. It doesn't mean there aren't issues. But the reality is that we are not receiving those calls into 911, which makes it difficult to have a good idea of what's going on. So we are a data-driven organization. We encourage people to call on everything so we get a good picture of what's going on and we can respond accordingly. That said, it's also important to know that over the past years, particularly in 2017, we spent the better part of that year really working and emphasizing efforts to reduce the issues going on with a particular house on that street. Our efforts include aggressive patrols, narcotics investigations. One of the narcotics investigations even led to our SWAT team doing a drug warrant at the residence with multiple arrests. We've had multiple contacts. We used to generate in the ballpark of 39, 40 calls for service in that area per year. Like I said, this past year we're down to 9. So there are issues, maybe not to the degree that may have been portrayed last meeting. That said, we're going to do everything we can to give this area the right attention, starting off with getting more detailed communication lines going. Mayor, your office is coordinating a meeting next Thursday on the 30th. We'll have up there on our West Hill. I am told that the effort to get mailers through our postcards and some robocalls will be going out to the affected neighborhoods so that people can opt into the meeting and we can have a good dialogue and solution-oriented position on that. We've already upped our resources there. We're doing extra patrols as we speak. Our bike units also have it. We've put it on what we call our ILP list, which means it is now a priority for everyone in the patrol division. So we're working on the issues there, and it will not be too long before we start to see some good results. Next up, I'm pleased to announce that we are partnering with Ring, and we're launching a new program that we hope will be both one part community engagement, but also big part crime fighting. So if you are not familiar, Ring has a national program called the Ring Neighbor Portal. And what they do is they offer this free of charge to any Ring security owners, and you can opt in to be connected with your law enforcement department to provide information about crimes going on in your neighborhood. Of particular note for us is that whenever we have an issue, particularly with a violent crime, our officers and our detectives go out and they do what we call canvassing to the community. And that is a very rudimentary process where they literally knock on doors and ask people if they've seen anything or if they have any video. It takes a long time. It's very labor intense. With this process, we're able to send out via Ring's connections in the community an email and basically say, hey, we've had this incident. Are there any videos out there for us to? For those of you that already have the Ring security system, you know those alerts come up all the time. The other part or component to the system is kind of a social network deal where people can message and share information. We are not going to activate that right away because we do not have the staff to actively monitor and get back to inquiries, but we're hoping to do so very soon. We are looking to use existing funding to put together a staffing position that will do more of that communications management and social media engagement. So that's in the works. But for the time being, neighbors can opt in. You may see if you're on a Ring and there's an issue in your neighborhood, you'll get an email through Ring from Kent Police that says, hey, we're looking for help with this incident. If you have video, let us know. They can decide whether they want to. It's completely voluntary, and they upload the video if they want to, and we use it for our investigations. We think it's going to be a powerful tool. I want to be really clear. The Kent Police Department is not activating or actively watching or monitoring or using anybody's video whatsoever to keep tabs in neighborhoods. This is completely, if we have an issue, we're seeking the community's help. They can opt in case by case, and they can restrict what we can see. They can tell us no. It's completely voluntary. So we think it's going to be a phenomenal tool. This happens to have come to us by several requests as well. We had several people asking us why we weren't doing this, so we looked into it. So, Ring program coming tomorrow. And then last but certainly not least, I want to highlight some incredible work and an accomplishment that we were able to achieve last November. In today's law enforcement, in the realm of community trust and making sure you're transparent and making sure you're doing everything to deliver the highest level of service to the community, you have to be open to third-party review. You have to be open to a process that says, come in and take a look at what we're doing and let us know if we're meeting best practices. And currently in Washington State, the organization that does that for law enforcement is WASPIC, the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. And so we've been an accredited agency through WASPIC now for a few years. We have to reaccredit every 3 years, and we were due this last year. They look at everything we do, every operation, everything from how we take case reports to how we handle complaints, our use of forces, our high liability things, you name it. They send an inspection team and they look at everything we do top to bottom. Very pleased to report that we came through their inspection with flying colors. There was one minor hiccup that we addressed right away, and other than that, we passed every standard that there was. Incredible amount of work goes into proving, because we have to show evidence on everything that we do, that we met the standards, and kudos to several people, including Assistant Chief Jared Kasner, Sarah Wood from Research and Development, and Commander Todd Durham, and Support Service Manager Christy Warren were the leads on this. So a huge amount of work and very, very well done. We also, I want to note, we also are, yeah. Thanks. I think it's also cool to note that we are one of 3 agencies in the entire state that is accredited through law enforcement and corrections. Our jail is also accredited, so we are dual accredited, pretty high standard to achieve. It's just a reaffirmation to the community that people are looking at what we're doing and making sure we're doing it right. So, And that's my report. Told you it was going to be long. Sorry. Is there any questions?
Councilmember Boyce.
Just a comment, Chief, here. I really, on the House, we have a problem with the House. I really like your go-forward plan because we heard something here last week, some concern from the neighborhood, right? I think at the end of the day, really, it's all about communication, them communicating to us and letting us what's going on in a timely manner, then also us telling our own story, right? So the fact that you can be having your next meeting up on the West Hill, inviting everybody, I really like that plan, and I think hopefully it'll start bringing the neighborhood together where people can start reaching out, see something, say something, right? So I just want to say kudos to you and your team with your plan going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the chief? All right, thank you very
thank
much,
you.
Chief. A lot of great celebration tonight. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to item number 5 in the agenda, and that is reports from committees, council, and staff. All of our council members serve on regional committees, making sure that Kent is at the table for those conversations, whether they be on issues, policies, funding, all of those things. We learned a long time ago, you must be present to win. And that's what your council members are doing as they serve on these committees outside of the meetings that are held here at Kent City Hall. So I will start out, give you a little bit of a recap of the things that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, and then we'll turn it over to Council President Troutner. As always, lots of transportation meetings in my on my calendar. Started out with the Transportation Policy Board. That is a regional committee, and we had presentations on federal safety targets that all communities are required to meet, as well as an update on the passenger ferry system here in the region, and finally the upcoming grant process. The City of Kent has been very successful in receiving these regional grants. We have been very competitive in the realm of preservation, so projects like those section of East Valley down there by 196th, those projects are all very expensive, and without that regional support, which is pass-through money from the federal government, it would be nearly impossible for us to complete them. So grateful for that process, are definitely engaged, and over the next couple of months, we will be submitting applications for this new funding cycle. So spend some time talking about that process. As on transportation as well, I attended the South County Area Transportation Board meeting today, and we had 2 presentations. One was on the 518 corridor plan, so that's that section that 405 turns into as you are headed up towards the airport. As you know, if you've driven on it, there's significant congestion, especially folks coming in and out of the airport. So trying to manage the 2 different types of peaks that are in that area. So there's the commute peaks, the morning and the evening, but then there's those times of day when the airport traffic increases. So 1 o'clock. Which, you saw, I was kind of wondering, where's all this traffic coming from? That's one of the high volume times for traffic coming in for people landing and leaving the airport. So we received an update on that plan. And then finally, we received an update on what's happening around Initiative 976. So that is what's called the $30 car tab initiative. And as a result of that passing, the governor put all state projects on hold, whether they were funded by things that were included in that initiative or not. So for Kent, that impact is 509, which is the connection from the airport coming down to military, right up there in the Kent Des Moines area. That project has been in the planning stages for probably close to 40 years. And we are this close. It was supposed to go, phase 1 was supposed to go out to bid in January. So this hold has created some concerns for us, including the fact that we are working on our planning in parallel with the light rail that's coming there to the West Hill, and there's shared right-of-way and things like that. So a pause on this project is pretty significant. So we had that presentation at the regional level. Last week, I also made a trip to Olympia to testify in front of the Senate Transportation Committee to express our concerns on that project being put on hold, and the fact that every month it's on hold and does not go out to bid, the project becomes more and more expensive. So the ask was to the Senate Transportation Committee to try and figure out a plan to start moving these projects forward. I also testified while I was down there in front of Safety Committee at the House of Representatives, and I testified. Representative Orwall, Tina Orwall from the 33rd District, is extremely involved in human trafficking, and preventing that, making sure that we're all working together, and I was able to testify in support of a bill that she has introduced that would increase the fines for people that are providing the demand side of human trafficking, and it also would eliminate, there's a $50 penalty for people that are arrested that are actually the victim in that exchange, and it would eliminate that penalty and increase the penalty for those that, like I said, that are providing the demand. So we really, here in Kent, support her work. We talked a little bit earlier about the work that our police department is doing with Kent Youth and Family Services, so it was an honor to go down and testify to support her work. Finish up my report by saying yesterday I was very honored to be asked to speak along with Chief Padilla and Representative Orwell at the Living Well Kent Youth Policy Martin Luther King celebration. And as you heard earlier, the topic was bullying. And the kids did a fabulous job on their presentations talking about, do you want to be a bystander or an upstander? Are you going to watch people be bullied, or are you going to stand up and do something? And they had some pretty interesting tips on how people can intervene and stop that bullying and ways that you can support those around you. So I was honored to be a part of that presentation for the second year in a row. I let them know that now it's an annual event, so we'll be having them back again next year as well. With that, I am going to look to my right, and Council President Troutner, do you have a report? Oh, I'm sorry, CEO all the way to my right. I do that, it's right here on my notes. Derek.
We should just move me to the.
It would be,
make it official.
Or we can start with you, and then I won't ever forget.
Thank you, Mayor Ralph. A couple of items here. At your last meeting, I provided the dates for our 2020 City Council retreat. That's Friday and Saturday, February 7th and 8th. Then I didn't have the times, but I do have those now. It'll be Friday from 1 to 4:45 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And council members should receive a draft agenda shortly. My other item is that we do have an executive session this evening. The topic is collective bargaining. It'll be a very short executive session at about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back into open session and take action. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Now, Council President Troutner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had a couple really informative presentations during workshop today. The first one is on the utility rate reduction program. And in order to qualify for that particular program, you need to be age 62 or older, a person who is unable to work due to a total or permanent disability, or a parent or guardian of a minor with a total and permanent disability. And you also need to have total household income shall not exceed the limit set annually by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. And applicants must be responsible for payment of utility bills living at that address receiving services. This particular program serves over 500 residents in our community, and HUD has put forward these guidelines. You can find this information on the Kent city website under utilities, but when it comes to serving our residents and you compare what we are doing to other cities in in King County, we are serving more low-income and more qualified residents than any other city in our area. So if you do feel that you would qualify, or you want to see if you're a qualified applicant, you can go online and check that out. There's also applications available. Another way that we are serving the residents in our community was during the second presentation, and that was an update on the rental housing inspection program. And if you remember, we started this program about a year ago, so we had a report on how that first year is going. We've divided this program up into 3 different sections, and every year it will be on a rotating basis, but each one of those sections will have the apartments in that area inspected to see if they are meeting the requirements for this particular program. This year, we are actually in 2019, we worked on the northeast hill of Kent, And there's about 68 properties that were inspected. Of those, 65 were in the initial inspection, 14 have asked for extensions, and 3 have been non-responsive. And what the city will do for those is they will respond through our code enforcement. And they're hoping that by March 1st, we'll have 97% compliance for that particular section. In 2020, we are moving to the West Hill and inspecting those. What they are finding and getting the landlords to fix is issues with smoke detectors, CO2 units. There's been issues with water heaters, electrical units, decking and railing and plumbing. But overall, this program so far seems to be proving very successful because we are not only improving the quality of life for our tenants, but we're making sure that their living environment is also meeting the standards that we've set forth in this program. So. Regionally, I sit on the Regional Law, Safety, and Justice Committee. We will have our first meeting of the year this Thursday. And then I also sit on the Regional Transit Committee. We have a new chair of that committee. It's King County Councilmember Dave Upthegrove. So we're very excited to have him leading our team this coming year. We also elected a vice chair who comes as a representative from SCA. But there's a lot of changes coming to the King County Metro in the coming year. They're making policy updates and they're changing their strategic plan. So we have a work plan in place that the Regional Transit Committee will be working on between now and the end of November to make sure cities like Kent, that our ridership is, that their questions are being answered and that we're fitting the needs of those people that are using transit in our community. So a lot more to come on that. And with that, we will see what our council members have been up to. I'm not sure if everyone has had a meeting yet, but we'll start down at the end with Sandria.
I serve on the Regional Water Quality Board, and my first meeting will be February 5th.
Councilmember Kaur.
Thank you. I serve on 3 regional committees, and the first one will be meeting on February 11th, sorry. So I will have updates in second meeting in February. Thank you.
Councilmember Larmer.
Thank you, Council President. So both my committees have met now. It's been a busy couple weeks, and I will try to be brief because these were the first meetings of the year, so they were quite lengthy. I sit on the Aging and Disabilities Advisory Council for King County. And this first meeting was a day-long retreat in which we set our 2020 advocacy priorities for the year. Being that this is a short term in Olympia, there wasn't a whole lot of programmatic issues that we were going after. We'd normally go after more, but we outlined 3. Affordable housing and transit access for seniors is going to be a big priority for us. We are asking for an increase in funding for social safety net programs that benefit seniors. We're asking for $3.4 million additional general fund allocation for severe mental health, client, in-home care, and case management. There is a huge need for this. It's the largest growing community of seniors requiring in-home care are those with severe mental health issues. Part of it's coming, we know that these are a lot of the individuals that are coming out of homelessness, and so the goal is to keep them homed and keep them in their homes. The estimates are that we need about 60 more case managers statewide to really do this job. And obviously, as we get people out into homes, we want to keep them there. So this is a real priority to be able to effectively manage this caseload. So we're asking for that additional general fund money. And then also highlighting Senator Kaiser's efforts to lower prescription costs in the state. I know one of the proposals is to increase buying medications from Canada. Of course, there's the caveat that we need to somehow support Canadian production in order to not, poach the supply in Canada. So there'll be some work around that and some proposals and ideas. We also got a report out on the veterans, seniors, and human services levy funding, and I sent that. It was a lengthy report. I sent it to the council, so you guys had some details on that. One of the areas that they highlighted is kinship care funding, which I think is quite important for Kent residents to be aware of, that there's going to be close to $1 million now coming into funding opportunities for kinship care support. And a lot of this is because I believe it was 50% or more of kinship care providers are seniors taking care of grandchildren. And so providing more financial assistance for those families, training, health services support for grandparents taking care of their grandchildren. The second committee I serve on is the Affordable Housing Committee, and we are gearing up to provide recommendations for the countywide planning process that is coming up this May. And part of our meeting was dedicated to sort of discussing our caucus, the SCA caucus position on 4 key issues that will be fed into the recommendations for the countywide planning. So we're talking about methods for assuring regional accountability, how we're going to monitor and measure housing affordability in the different areas and what that should look like, and geographical distribution of affordable housing. There was a lot of conversation about transit-oriented development, and the caucus's position was that that's great, but we also need to make sure that we are adequately and evenly distributing affordable housing throughout communities, so that communities and neighborhoods that sit away from transit are not being left out of the conversation. And there's a few more, but like I said, it was quite a lengthy meeting, and I don't want to take the whole meeting here, so I will pass it on to
Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, very thorough report. Appreciate that. I sit on PIC. I am currently the co-chair of PIC. Our next meeting is February 12th. We do have a meeting for a new elected training program on January 30th. They should receive an email for invite, not only for the new elected. I think all of us probably can benefit from that training. So I plan to attend as well, too. And I'm not too sure the mayor, you was elected as president of SCA, so I'm not too sure you say anything about it, but congratulations.
Thank you.
On being the president. As you say, you're not at the table, then you might get eaten, right? So we're happy to have you as elected as the president of SCA.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Thomas.
Well, thank you, Madam President. I serve on the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority along with Council President Troutner and Councilmember Boyce. We did not meet last month, but we do meet tomorrow night, 5:30, Station 78 out of Covington.
Thank you. Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you, Madam President. KCD, King Conservation District, will not be meeting in January. The Mental Illness and Drug Dependency Advisory Council meets Thursday of this week, so I'll have a report on that next time. And Arts Commission, the final draft of the 2020-2024 City Art Plan is getting near fruition, so you'll be seeing that pretty soon. And Kent Creates, the identity competition, that one has closed up. That one ended on the 31st. You can see that online at kentcreates.com, and that is it.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, that ends our reports. Thank you.
As you can see, your council is hard at work for you on all of the issues that are impacting us, both here directly in the city of Kent and in our region as well. So I am grateful for the time that is invested in those committees. Okay, item number 6 on our agenda is public hearing, and we do not have one this evening. Item number 7 is public comment. This is the opportunity that anyone here has to come up and address the council with concerns or issues that they may have, things that they'd like the council to take a look at, or things that are going well in the city. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and if you could state your name and city of residence for the record. Kim, can you call our speakers, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have one speaker tonight, Linda Wedlake.
If you could come up to the podium, please.
Hi, my name is Linda Wedlake. Actually was sworn in, our HOA was sworn in today, Kara on the Bluff. I can give you a little bit of background. I moved here 2 years ago from Hillsborough, which is about 20 minutes west of Portland. And we moved here, it was sort of a sudden move. My husband got a job with Amazon, which we learned is a love-hate sort of feeling here. He actually works downtown in Seattle. But I picked Kent because it was a similar size to Hillsborough. Both kids still live in Portland, and I liked the size, and I wanted to see a city that just the little bit that I saw, I liked. But I have to say, after being here 2 years, we live up on the East Hill. We're not far from the Fred Meyer, just off of James there. And in the last, I would say, since October, we've had a problem with graffiti, has been growing. And I've also noticed it around the city. I mean, certainly if I go to like other parts of northern Seattle, I sometimes wonder, did we make the right decision? I love our neighborhood. I like our house. We are long-term in the sense that, I don't know, maybe another 5-6 years. We're actually, you talked about drugs coming from Canada. No, you cannot poach them because I'm actually Canadian. So this is our stepping stone to go home. But while I live in a city, I really believe in the city that I live in. Hence, I got our HOA up and running. I'm just wondering, I've had the police involved, we put cameras up, but we're fighting this, it just seems to have exploded. And there are a lot, I counted 6 public notice signs on 100th, and I'm just wondering, they've been there for the 2 years I've lived here, nothing's changed, people buy houses, they buy the same houses there, graffiti everywhere, and the city says it's our responsibility to clean up, which we've been doing in our HOA. They keep coming back, we keep trying to fight back, but I don't see a lot with the city's participation, and I see it all throughout Kent, and it saddens me that I want to be proud of this city, and when I tell people that, you know, I go to Issaquah or somewhere, and it's like, where are you from? I want to say I'm from Kent, and I like living here, but it just frustrates me to no end at the constant that's out there, and so that's just sort of been something that I know we've been battling, and as I said, the police have been responsive, but it just really brings down the neighborhood, and I know they've told us it's not, at least we're not getting broken into, but it could lead to that. And it just brings down our neighborhood and it brings down Kent. And again, I want to be in a city that I really am proud of for as long as I'm here. So that has been a concern living here. That's really my main thing is the graffiti.
I appreciate that. I think it's safe to say it is something that is a concern for the council as well. So just for our viewing audience, if you see graffiti in Kent, we do ask that you report it. That number is 253-856-GRAF. We do want to work, our first goal is to work with private property owners to get it painted over, but we do have some jail crews and things that we have that can also come and help paint it over. So it is something that I know that the council is working on. We're looking to see what other cities are doing if there's programs out there. And we do when we catch the people that are doing the graffiti. And part of that reporting process is just that. If we can build a case, we've got multiple places because a lot of times they like to leave their signature, which just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Break a law and sign your name. But it's good because that means we can also then catch people. So it is something that we are working on. And I do ask that if you see graffiti, please report it.
Yeah, it's more the beautification, I guess, of the city too, because it just is awful. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Council President Troutner.
Yeah, if I can just make one comment too. I actually heard from one of the residents in your neighborhood. He sent me a great email asking me a bunch of questions. I forwarded that on to our neighborhood education coordinator, and I know, and I know that she sent some great responses back, and you guys are doing a lot of the right things. You've got your neighborhood community formed, you have cameras, and you're getting the graffiti cleaned up as soon as it happens. And hopefully that's a deterrent because you're getting rid of it, you know, and they would prefer to see it up there, so maybe they're going to go elsewhere. But you're doing a lot of the right things, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Kim, do we have any other speakers?
No, I do not.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar, and the consent calendar is a compilation of all the work that this entire council has done at the past committee of the whole meetings. Council gets together on the off Tuesdays from the formal council meeting and has what we call committee of the whole. These are items that are presented on and discussed and move forward to the consent calendar if there is no concerns from the council at those committee of the whole meetings. So at this point, it looks like we've got consent calendar items A through K. Council President, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to approve consent calendar items A through K.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Those items pass. If there's ever anything you see on the consent calendar that you have questions about, I urge you to go back and watch the videos or the recordings of those committee of the whole meetings. You will see the staff presentation and the questions that the council members have regarding those items in those past meetings. Okay, we have no other business or bids tonight. We do have an executive session on collective bargaining. So this is, council will go into a closed session to discuss collective bargaining. There is action. There will be a motion and a vote following executive session. Derek, about how long are we looking at? 5 minutes. So if I could ask council, everyone in council chambers to please clear the chambers. We'll go into executive session, convene for that vote, and then we will be adjourned. Thank you all. Welcome back. The council has reconvened after executive session regarding collective bargaining. We do have a motion regarding the AFSCME contract. Councilmember Larmer, do you have a motion?
I do, thank you. I move to authorize the mayor to sign the 2020 to 2022 collective bargaining agreement approved and accepted by AFSCME Local 2617 and ratify all acts consistent with the authority of the agreement and prior to its execution.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a good evening.